Concrete examples, thanks. Great question. You can talk all you like, but what do you want to do? Right. First of all, you make sure that every time there's a development meeting of some syndications for people who are looking for places to build, that you're at those meetings, letting them know how many great businesses are currently on Alberta Avenue and in other areas, and you let them know of the tax benefits that the city already has in place, as well as the facade improvement programs that make it very worthwhile to get into those areas. Secondly, you work with programs such as the Abundant Community Initiative, which force more community interaction between institutions such as business, community members, and different associations already in the community, so that now you're incorporating that business and that community together. Now you've got a much more integral platform that draws more people in. If you're living in an area that the councillor is actually marketing, and the people in it know who's there and shop at the local businesses, not because they have to, but it's so exciting, that's how you start real growth. And by the way, that's how White Avenue started.
15.
So we can do it again.
Well, I think councillors have a great opportunity to be ambassadors for their community. So I would see a councillor having a responsibility and an opportunity to promote the virtues of Ward 7, Alberta Avenue, and many of the communities. We have wonderful green space. We have tremendous access to the river valley. We have revitalization that's taken place on Alberta Avenue, and I'm hopeful that that revitalization, business revitalization, will extend to Beverly in the not too distant future. But I think we have a commitment to create affordable, diverse housing for younger families, not only to extol the virtues of living in Ward 7, but to make real estate available to them as they start their lives, create families, and be connected to their communities. I also think that revitalization clearly plays a central role in that. If we could create a buzz that mature communities are the place to be, because we see a commitment by City Council prioritizing revitalization of mature communities, we're going to create a cachet for younger people to believe that these are the attractive and affordable places to live. And so again, I think we have to change the values at City Council in terms of prioritizing revitalization versus new developments.
Thanks for that question. If somebody wants to talk about revitalization of Alberta Avenue, you've come to the right place. In 2004, I was part of the Alberta Avenue Business Revitalization Association, and we started then to get that area of the city, to give it notice, to have council notice it, to have the city notice it. And in 5 years, when this program started in 2007, the first monies were moved by myself and Councillor Ed Gibbons that year to start the revitalization effort. Now we have 10s, 20s, 30 different restaurants, 40 different restaurants. We have, again, the community of Parkdale in the area, and Eastwood, Alberta Avenue, and Norwood starting to flourish again, with people coming to live in the area and wanting to be part of Norwood and wanting to be part of Eastwood because of the arts community that the city has helped and have helped promote there. A business revitalization zone needs businesses in order to attract residents. Residents come in, which then attracts more businesses. And the one example that I can give you, I was responsible for the final destruction of the Cromdale Hotel. It took many, many years to negotiate that and to get through the courts, and then to bring Shoppers Drug Mart to actually agree to purchase that particular site. So Alberta Avenue is your perfect example of what I've been doing for the last 6 years.
I think some people just have an inclination to see a parade and then get in front of it.
I sat on a ad hoc committee with the city in 2004 and 2005, and that was residents and members from community leagues, and the BRZ did come in afterwards. But the city was very supportive in the efforts that we made in Alberta Avenue to revitalize that. But I give all credit to the citizens that worked so hard, that brought their kids to the sidewalk to play Scrabble, to move the street prostitutes and the drug dealers away from the sidewalk. I give credit to taking down the Cromdale, to Sheila Bowker, who fought tirelessly for 2 decades to deal with that, and sadly died of cancer before she got to see the destruction of it. So you did not single-handedly destroy the Cromdale, Mr. Caterina, and I'm very upset that you would claim to have done so. That's dishonorable to Sheila. At any rate, what we can do to keep it going is to continue with support to small business, make them family-friendly business. There's a restaurant in my community across from Delton School that told me that they were applying for a license to 2 in the morning because people eat that late. So my husband and I went over there on Friday night at 10 to grab a meal. It was full of kids, music blaring, it's a bar across from a school in the middle of a residential neighborhood. This is happening all over the ward, it's happening down the street on 118th, and I will be diligent in making sure that the businesses we attract are family friendly, we can walk on our streets without harassment, and that people like you and like me when I came here can afford to come and make it our home for a long time.
Well, I have another version of that story. I know a city building inspector, and he seems to think it's the building inspectors and the lawyers that shut down the Cromdale. But it's true, we have to address these slum landlords. There's many people who have very old buildings, and they just want to hold on to them to say, I'm a landlord. We have to get rid of them, and we have to revitalize these buildings, and we have to have programs to help people do it. And I think that we should also have some sort of program to help poor people buy houses in selected areas. Now, Eastwood has 25% owned, 75% rented. So I guess they didn't get the memo about the businesses and arts festivals. It's things like that that are gonna bring neighborhoods back. And we get young people to keep the schools open. Because once the school's gone, that's the death knell. And you're gonna have US type slums in 20 years.
For me, this is going to require a two-pronged approach. One, it will require every one of us to roll up our sleeves and be prepared to work for it. And I think it will stand as an opportunity for any entrepreneur, really minded person in here to take advantage of such an ambition. For one, what you will need is to create the necessary amenities for these young families. And upon initiating this candidacy, what I heard from the people is a shortage of daycare. You cannot accommodate young families if you cannot accommodate their needs. And that is a fundamental. I think to do that, we will all have to partake. And to do that, what we will need is an on-the-ground approach which fosters entrepreneurship spirit among one another, that we stand to benefit as well as create these amenities. And secondly, it will require the city. This is where affordable housing and effective bus scheduling and bus services will come to play too. So you cannot just go into the equation thinking you can revitalize and improve and attract young families if you are not prepared to give them what will facilitate and enable easy living for them. Thank you.
Yeah, I have two written questions. This one is for Tony Caterina. There has been discussion about closing north-south access on 66th Street at Yellowhead Drive. What is your view on this? There has been discussion about closing north-south access on 66th Street at Yellowhead Drive. What is your view on this?
I've never heard that before, and there's no plan to close 66th Street at Yellowhead, I really can't answer. That's never proposed. 66th Street and Yellowhead is one of our major intersections, and there's work being done on Yellowhead right now. There's a long-term plan. Funding's not available for the big projects, but some of the smaller ones have started in access off of 68th Street or onto 68th Street has been closed, and we're looking at 64th to close a left turn in, but 66th at this point there's no discussion whatsoever of any closure on Southwest on 66. So I'm not sure what the question is.
Thank you.
I also know nothing about any proposal to close down 66th Street, but I think it should be pointed out that we have issues on 66th Street. I've heard from many residents between 112th Avenue and 118th Avenue about shortcutting. I know shortcutting is a concern in the Newton community. I think that's a very appropriate level of activity and advocacy for an elected official, a councillor, to get involved in those shortcutting solutions, to work with transportation and community and find solutions to eliminate, or at the very least significantly reduce shortcutting. So I don't think we should just pass on 66th Street and everything is fine. From 112 to 118, residents have concerns.
Yeah, and certainly Mr. Coburn is correct. 66th Street, there have been many concerns, and I know that I've been working with transportation and planning and anyone else available at the city in order to address those concerns, just as we worked with the community of Newton on a lot of their concerns with shortcutting. And that's something that every neighborhood, if they have those concerns, we do try and address them as best we can. There are certain thresholds that have to be met in all kinds of technicalities, but absolutely that stretch between 112th and 118th on 66th is problematic, and we've been dealing with it for some time.
Thank you.
Yeah. In my world, ignoring a 1,400 signature petition about traffic safety and shortcutting is not dealing with their concerns. And that is what has happened in Newton. That is what has happened throughout this ward and in fact this city. We have a transportation department that is singly focused on moving vehicular traffic. And when communities raise concerns about pedestrian safety, bicycle safety, any other kind of safety, they're shut down, they're ignored. What did City Council do? They approved a budget that eliminated the traffic safety community engagement person. I have proposed that we deal with this citywide. We reduce the speed limit in residential areas. We accept community recommendations like road diets and streetscaping to reduce speeding through residential areas. We listen to the people that live there, and instead of listening to administrators that tell us something completely different. So I do actually have a concrete plan to address these issues. They are citywide, and I think it's something that improves the quality of life. If you're not safe in your community, you will flee to the suburbs. This directly impacts that suburban flight as well. So we do need to get a hold of this issue, and I think we need to get a hold of it before that we see even more fatalities and collisions with bikes and buses. We saw another one today. Thanks.
Thank you. Did I make a comment on this? You want to stand in line? Anyone else? No? I have another, sorry, my question. I have another question. Prostitution and crime continue to be a major issue along 118th Avenue and with initiatives along Alberta Avenue being supported. What about initiatives and enhanced detriments all the way east on 118th Ave to 34th Street? What do you see as some additional resources for implementation of reduction of these issues? We'll start with Dave.
Well, I support more police on the street, not simply to deal with criminal activity when it presents itself, but to connect with communities more effectively and remind communities that police are allies, and remind and deliver strong messages to people engaged in criminal activity that a policeman may be walking around the corner at any given instant. I also support an initiative I became aware of some time ago called Net Empowerment Teams. These teams bring together police representation and social workers to target areas that are experiencing particularly concerning levels of criminal activity. And it's my understanding that the NET team working in the Alberta Avenue over the last year to 2 years has actually achieved some significant reduction in criminal activity. So I'd like to see increased resources, increased NET teams available throughout communities. And one of the commitments I make as a councillor is to lead community walkabouts that would see me come into a community, and every community in my ward, lead a number of people, residents of that community, on a walking tour through their community and engage in discussions with them about what their needs and challenges are to ensure their councillor can work most effectively to support their needs.
Thank you for that question. And there's always a concern, and will continue to be a concern, but in the 118th Avenue area, Alberta Avenue and Beverly, both areas are being addressed with more police officers on the street. I know there was a comment earlier, a question about closure of the police at Eastwood and the other one in Abbotsfield. Those aren't police station closures, so let's get that straight. The front counter is closed, which gave us 6 additional police officers to actually be on the street and help with exactly what we're talking about. The NET team at Alberta Avenue, Mr. Coburn is absolutely right. It has been a huge success in that model, using police and social workers to work together in order to address some of these concerns prior to it happening. And that is another initiative that I brought to Alberta Avenue. Absolutely. It worked in Spruce Ave before that, and Dougal. And the NET teams, though, I've got to tell you, those are transitional. Once Alberta Avenue is up and running and having good results, that team will move to a different neighborhood, and it could be Beverly, it could be Norwood, it could be 112th Avenue. But that's the type of thinking that the city has already done. A lot of the things going on tonight are being suggested, are already happening. They've already come into play